It is estimated that there are over 500,000 hits on buried utilities and pipelines every year. That's why ProStar is partnering with Fortune 500 companies, government agencies, and equipment manufacturers to lead the way into a safer future. ProStar has solutions designed to capture, record, and display the precise location of critical infrastructure, significantly improving workflow processes and construction practices for the benefit of all.
Hey guys, pleasure to meet you. Pat Clawson. I'm a software CEO, board member for the last 20 some years at different companies around the world. I've run and turned around a NASDAQ company. I've run a London AIM company, all SaaS-based platforms. So I've run mid-range, larger size, and then, last several years, I've really been focusing on early stage software companies and helping them grow. Predominantly, when you talk to analysts that have covered me or people who've invested in me, I'm a growth guy. That's what I do. And every single asset that I put my arms around, the goal is part of what I did here. In the first 90 days, we dug deep. We wanted to know everything we could about this space and was there something unique here and truly different. So I worked with analysts from 3 different mid-tier bank houses, right? Like Cowen and Stevens and a few others, one of Mizuho, who have people that get the space. I talked to probably 6 different industry analyst firms from around the world who are all covering the underground utility mapping space. I did research on every single competitor, whether they were traditional underground utility mapping or they were trying to get into the software space. Every one of them in the world, got them itemized, got them categorized, dug into what they did and didn't do. And when I did that, I was looking for what verticals they served. I was looking for what use cases they talked to. I wanted to know what they thought their ideal customer profile was. I wanted to know what they thought their value prop was. And then I did industry research around the new regulations and that are coming out around the world and what states are doing and what federal governments are doing. In the end, guys, when I stepped back from all this, he said, look, this thing is so unique, so far ahead of the competition. And it really is. There's 6, maybe 7 software vendors in the world that wish they had what PointMan has and ProStar has. They just don't have it. And furthermore, PointMan's backed up by 20 some patents that document exactly what it does. Everybody else says, trust me, we do it. And PointMan actually does the stuff and they've been patented to do so. So really powerful story. Then I tried to break down where we are and where we're not, right? There's still friction in the sales process. There's friction in the customer engagement through the website and getting top of the funnel marketing tactics so that they're involved and they're moving through the funnel quicker. We figured, a lot of that stuff out. We're still constantly working on it. But then I recommended a process that I thought made a difference here for an early stage company. And we started in January. We hired 2 sales development reps. And our goal was, how do we get our inside sales guy to 20 fresh appointments a week? And we started at the end of January and we took off. We trained the guys. The last 2 days they got on the phone and they got on the email. Our goal was roughly 2,000 outbounds a month with 24 appointments scheduled, 18 held. And they got to 3,600 outbounds a month. And we went from not only the appointments being at 20 a week, we went from 3 demos in January to something like 15 in February and 28 in March. So our ability to engage prospects and customers and build a pipeline has come full circle in less than 90 days. So we're at a point now where we need to continue adding both sales development reps and salespeople. And you'll notice whenever Paige gets ready to, or Joel wants to talk to the success, you'll see an early hockey stick starting to happen in terms of deals being closed and getting them into the funnel so that we can close them and that we have the right people with the right training to close them instead of letting them sit there forever, right? These are deals we can close. We've got a nice deal size that we're ratcheting up literally every month right now. Deal sizes are getting bigger, which is good. So as Paige said, look, internally, we have a goal of building a daily measured every morning, 7:30 a.m. Everyone in sales and marketing is on a phone. We are measuring what we said we're going to do versus what we did do. We know exactly what the conversion rates were for Q1, which we've never known before. And we know how to try and improve them for Q2 and every quarter after that. So That organization right there has a massive goal of getting to 100 customers by the end of this year. We made major progress in Q1. I think whenever they announce a growth rate, you'll all be very happy with quarter, Q1 over Q1, growth rates. So that's a really good story, and that will continue to get better. But the other side of the business is, as Paige was talking, we formalized our large deal relationships, and that's really Paige, Vasa, and myself. And that's working with the equipment manufacturers. That's working with the really big locating companies, engineering firms, but they're not buying a couple, right? They are buying an enterprise class solution to deal with their teams or joining it with hardware. So we've got some really great wind in our back right now, pushing us forward, and it's logical. It's not anything other than just hard work. Last comment I'll leave you with is the one thing that I firmly believe and why I'm so invested in this thing, and I'm taking equity to prove it all out, is I cannot imagine a world 5 years from now, with the ways regulations have changed, where 90% of the firms aren't doing what Point Man does. They cannot afford not to. And I think our major battle cry when we stand up in front of somebody with our first discovery call is ask me what do we do? We save lives and we save money. That's where we start. And it's a powerful message, guys. And I think these guys have built something incredible.
Can I ask a couple questions?
Yes, sir.
I'm just wondering, what tool are you using to track all this? Is it Salesforce, or what CRM is it captured in?
We're using HubSpot. Simply, it's much less expensive.
Yep.
We literally, it's updated daily. You love it. We've got what every person did yesterday, how many appointments they scheduled, what's on the books for today, how many new logos we have. It's everything is managed on a single page.
Okay, and they use that through the prospecting, through the sale, through
they do.
Management.
We work with Zoom Info to enrich that data and help us as well. It's pretty expensive, but it's working well here for us. We use LinkedIn Sales Navigator as well. And then the marketing team has its own metrics that we're driving them to. So they have a daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly deliverable that starts at the top end of the marketing funnel. So how many fresh inquiries can we drive? Because I want the next form of measurement, which we're doing today, is how many are coming in what I call not a marketing qualified lead, but they're definitely a marketing lead. They're not yet ready to pass off to sales. So that we can focus on the tools that we provide them on the website, whether they're use cases, case studies, webinars, videos, to get them into the funnel quicker. So we have very tight numbers that at the top end that marketing marches towards. And then when they pass that ball, it gets right into the queue for the SDRs to start calling on them, emailing them, calling them back. So it's pretty detailed.
Have you guys had enough time to track how quickly demos turn into sales? And if I'm sure there's got to be an account size where those things kind of differ. But like say a 10 seat and under deal that you would do a demo on, do you expect it to close in the quarter in which you gave the demo?
That's within 90 days. Yeah. So we did several of those this one, which was good, right? We trained the guys. We're training them on, doing the proper needs analysis, nailing explicit needs, selling to explicit needs, closing, and objection handling, right? So I'd love to ask these guys, and every one of them says the same thing. Where are you in the stage of the sale when you ask for the order? And they always says, we're at the end. I go, no, you're not. You're halfway through, because everyone always says no, right? So it's getting that mindset within everybody to be prepared and then find a way to turn it into a question, answer it, and close that deal. So we saw deals that we found in quarter and closed in quarter. And they didn't stretch us out because Paige had me working with the sales guys, looking at what are different closing options we have with these guys. They're sitting there, they're not moving. What can we incent them with, right? So it's a kind of dynamic, fun sales environment you want.
I think an example is Provac contacted us out of Australia. I actually got the lead because Bill gave it to me. I followed up with them, turned it over to Marvin, and I think we closed them within 30 days, which is pretty good, especially when you're talking about a large company that's from another country. But the good news is, and this never happened before, because normally we have to introduce ourselves, then they have to do their homework, and then they have to do their research. They had already done all that. They identified who we are. They had downloaded our free app. They said that, this is interesting, they said they looked at us a couple of years ago, and that we just weren't there.
2020, the original date was 2020 on their record.
Yeah,
and Paige is right. That's a good story. We lost a week because the father and son who owned that firm had COVID. So, I mean, that cycle was tight and they were ready to go and ready to pay. So that's more of what we're seeing. So to answer your question, I think we're starting to see my goal is kind of 25 grand and below. I would like to see in a less than a 90-day turn. When they get bigger, as you know, guys, we have more people in the buying decision process. So we're kind of prepared for that. Appreciate it. Guys, good to meet you. Pat Clawson. I am a serial software as a service CEO, chairman. I've run 7 or 8 companies. I've created about $1.5 billion in market value for my shareholders. The way you should think about me is a growth guy. And right now I'm CEO of 2 early stage software companies. And this is it's a different form of math when you're trying to build an early stage software company than when you're doing a turnaround. And, you know, as Paige said, I did a lot of due diligence before I really started, you know, working on how to build a revenue engine here at ProStar. And there were 4 key areas that we dug into. One is I spoke with financial analysts from mid-market firms who I know who have access to research data within the underground utility mapping space, got their views on market, competitors, growth opportunities, TAM, all the above. I then reached out to some industry analysts for the same subjects. And there's 6 or 7 around the world that I thought were potent, that had written on the space, but there were a lot of takeaways from that. I then did a very exhaustive competitive research, and I wanted to know who actually was trying to sell software. Did they compete? What they thought their competitive advantages were? What were their pricing structures? Who were their verticals they targeted? What were their use cases? What were their ideal customer profiles? Because in the end, all of this boiled into, you got a hell of an opportunity here that has incredible uniquenesses and competitive advantages. And it's got the opportunity, it's protected by patents. It's the only one out there that actually proves that it does what it says it does. So very powerful. So I sat down with Paige, I said, look, you got something here, but I think we need to do this differently. And I put together a structure. We started it literally in the last 2 days of January with sales development reps, and they're early stage. We want to build our sales team from the inside out. These guys are simple job in life is 2,000 outreaches per person per month with goals of getting us to 20 new appointments every single week. Like I said, we started in the last days of January. I just exited a meeting. You know, we were doing not just the discovery calls, which we're now accomplishing the 18 to 20 new ones every single week, but how do you move those into actual demonstrations, which is the next phase? We were doing 2 or 3 a month in January. We did 12 in February, and we were at 26 in March. So that hockey stick in actually getting in front of buyers, showing them the product and moving them into our pipeline has translated into new deals that we're closing as well. We're actively closing deals every single week now, which is a different form of math. So I'm really excited. This isn't rocket science. It's we measure what we do every day. So we stand up call every morning at 7:30 with the sales team. They tell us what they're going to do today, and then they come back and say what they did yesterday. We hold them accountable on a daily basis, and we measure it, and the results are there. So last thing I want to share with you before, or if there are any questions, is we're managing 2 types of pipelines. So Steve, we have a transactional pipeline, because you asked a question about the partners, which is what the sales team is organized on. We're starting to see our deal sizes go up. You know, we just did one last week for about 25,000 a year in subscription. So we're starting to see that go up, which is great. We'll probably think that's about our average deal size for the next couple of quarters. We're seeing the time to close deals, you know, come down. But we also have a large deal pipeline, and the large deal pipeline involves business development. That's Paige, myself, and Vasa. Largely, those are where we partner with locating firms who would like to move our software along with their locators, or the GPS firms. And there's an active pipeline with large manufacturers around the world who see us as a competitive advantage. And our goal is to have 4 of those announced this year, because they move the needle. Every one of them is hundreds and hundreds of devices that get moved with them. So I think you'll see, without us getting out over our skis, there are real conversations and real deals that are actually in contracts now that we hope to be able to announce this year that changed the dynamic totally.